Part 14, Chapter 27 and 28. Chapter 27. Opening of an Operation. The food turned into an inedible lump in Kian's stomach, hard as stone. He would have preferred not to eat anything at all if he hadn't depended on the energy. With his fork, he absent-mindedly pushed the rice back and forth, mixing it with the sauce. Every now and then, it let out a squeak that sent shivers down his spine. As soon as the scent of the dish tickled his nose, nausea washed over him. No, this was not a good day to eat. You need to loosen up, man. Loosenup, Slivon suddenly said behind him. For a while now, he had been massaging Kian's shoulders and neck. One thing you had to give him. He knew exactly how to hit the right nerves. Kian glanced sideways at Slivon's plate, the meal on it having been annihilated in no time at all, and stared in amazement. He was just short of whistling in admiration. He eats like a vacuum cleaner. I am relaxed, the older one grumbled, and flinched when his comrade hit a tense muscle and worked it over. Slivon's thumb dug into the flesh with increased pressure. It was painful and pleasant at the same time. With a sigh, Slivon patted his shoulder. Well, kind of relaxed. You're tense everywhere. Aaron calmly finished his leftovers while Wenjana stood behind him, doing the same for their leader. Her slender fingers dug into his neck. Aaron endured it without comment, as if he weren't mentally present. I can't be the only one bothered by the fact that we haven't moved a single step forward, right? Kian looked around, expecting an explosion of words. No one on his team moved. Even the massage paused for a moment. We're one insight wiser. Aaron cut through the silence, catching Kian's gaze. A grain of rice clung to the corner of his mouth, making it hard to take him seriously. Fortunately, Aaron wiped it away and popped the last grain into his mouth, chewing on it for what felt like ages. Isn't that enough? No, not for me. How can you just overlook the fact that humans are abandoning us? I mean, humans share a common enemy, the Slivons. Strictly speaking, Slivon replied, they don't have the same problems we do, so they have no reason. But that's not right! Kian blurted out loudly. A dozen heads snapped in their direction. In the dining hall, a mix of soldiers and civilians had gathered, all of them united by one thing: hunger. Many were content to simply glare at him darkly. Others began whispering, nothing new by now. Sorry. I'm telling you. Slivon snorted, resuming the massage. You need to loosen up. A shadow fell over Kian. His brain signaled the presence of strangers. In front of him stood a group of 4 women of varying ages. Their leader stepped toward him, poised and confident. Can you do anything other than shout? What? You heard me, loudmouth. Your addiction to attention is extremely annoying. Believe me, we're not the only team that thinks so. Kian needed a moment to process what she'd said. What did this woman want from him? As far as he knew, her team had been living together in that configuration for 3 years. They were more experienced than his own, perhaps even more successful in missions. He really ought to show them respect to avoid escalation. Yet the longer he observed her, the stronger the urge grew to do the exact opposite. What's your problem? Kian forced out. Under the table, his legs tensed, rooting him to the spot so he wouldn't do anything rash. especially in front of his leader. He refused to let himself be intoxicated by stupidity. He thinks he's something special just because he's always getting special treatment, the woman said to her team, turning toward them with a giggle. The others laughed. Part of him screamed to strike. Another part reminded him that he didn't want to hurt anyone. But she's practically begging for it. What am I supposed to do without causing a scene? I don't think they'll just leave. It boiled inside him. On the edge of his awareness, he noticed the number of onlookers growing with every passing second. So little happened within the organization that people flocked to any sensation as soon as it appeared. What should I do? What should I... Huh? Suddenly, the leader stood there without her pants. Kilan blinked once. Same sight. Had that really just happened? His eyes widened. Only afterward did he realize that Wenjana was responsible for the humiliation. The fact that she had managed to sneak up without the team noticing filled Kilan with pride. The moment the pants hit the floor, the leader screamed. The others quickly formed a wall around her to shield her from view. Her nakedness was a feast for the gawkers. That's no way to treat my friends, got it? Wenjana stretched her arm toward them and turned her thumb down, making her displeasure unmistakably clear. As they left, Wenjana received venomous glares before the team disappeared. A booming laugh burst from Kilan, shaking his entire body. Did that really just happen? Gradually, Slivon joined in the laughter. The redness of his cheeks hinted at what had just gone through his mind. Their comrade sat down across from Kilan. Do you feel better? After that, definitely, thanks. I never would have expected something like that from you, Slivon cut in, immediately plopping down beside her. That was insanely cool. You scared them off without using violence. Wenjana grinned. Honestly, I just copied her. What surprises me is that out of all the things I experienced with her, this is the one that burned itself into my memory. Something stirred inside Kilan. Her? His laughter stopped abruptly. Her name is Jade. Wenjana rested her chin on her hand. For a while, she said nothing more. Her thoughts seemed fixed on a particular person, so absent did she look. My best friend back then, to protect me from nasty guys, she used to pull stunts like that all the time. If you had her as a friend, you were truly blessed. The name did something to him. Unable to place where he'd heard it before, an image of a young woman suddenly flared in his mind. Pushy, nerve-wracking, childlike. A woman whose eyes told you that you were the only living being in the world. A gaze that devoured you once you fell into it. You were friends with a Slivon? A sin? Kilan blurted out uncontrollably as the memories returned. A moment later, he shook his head at his own rashness. Sorry for the stupid comment. Of course you weren't. My condolences. She was probably taken by the Slivon. Yes, Wenjana admitted. That was me, with a Slivon. She didn't know I was human, still doesn't. I think it's my fault she's with the Sins now, and works for them. Entering into a friendship with a Slivon? Kian's jaw clenched at the thought. Never. Our true enemy isn't the Slivons. All eyes darted to Aaron, who had spoken the words. He popped a grape into his mouth, a rarity these days. Those aren't my words, Aaron revealed, meeting their stares. "Then whose are they?" Kiyan asked. A general uproar erupted and seeped into his awareness. It was as if a world star had arrived and everyone was scrambling for an autograph. Aaron nodded toward the source. All eyes followed. "Why does he look so much like me?" Kiyan whispered. A man entered, accompanied by Eziet. His massive build took up a lot of space. It was as if a large mirror had been held up to Kiyan, only older and stronger. Without doing much, the man became the focus, the center of the room. "My name is Sidar Rojda," he addressed the crowd. The moment he raised his voice, a deathly silence fell. "I am the head of this organization. Most of you don't know me." A murmur rippled through the room. Did he say Rojda? Kiyan breathed hoarsely. Where did the air suddenly go? Colorful spots danced before his eyes. Pressure built in his skull, telling him he was seconds away from losing his mind. His breathing came in sharp bursts. Feeling Aaron's hand on his shoulder, he became aware of his own trembling. Even his leader's calming presence helped little in that moment. Once again, he clung to that sense of safety to keep from completely falling apart. "Why, does he carry my last name?" Eziet studied Sidar with a grim expression. One might think he disapproved of Sidar's appearance, judging by how conflicted he looked. Was it concern? Why? The head didn't seem ill. "You have many questions running through your minds," Sidar surmised, looking around at them one by one, taking his time to study them. Was Kiyan imagining it? Or had they made eye contact for a split second? No one spoke. They hung on his every word. "Thanks to you, we have finally found the missing piece of the puzzle," Sidar announced, raising the hand that held several pages. From this distance, Kiyan couldn't read them, but they were likely important. "At last, we can begin the final mission. We will no longer hold back." More question marks seemed to appear above people's heads. "In 1 week, we will attack the city. With your help, we will reclaim our homeland." The outcry grew louder. Fighters thrust their fists into the air. The time had come. What the CRs had been waiting for? What exactly was it? An inner fire ignited. "Tell me now," Kiyan demanded of his team. "Why does he look so much like me?" Gradually, the momentum faded. The mood cooled. Searching for the trigger, Kian's gaze snagged on a man at a table in the back. The man coughed violently, hacking his throat raw. With a jerky movement, he swept his plate off the table. It shattered on the floor. Another clatter followed as his cup fell after it. Blotches spread across the man's neck as he gasped desperately for air. An asthma attack? Had he choked on his food? Then his eyes rolled upward, and he collapsed like a sack of potatoes. Chapter 28. Dependent on one another. It became a bitter reality. The man died on the spot. No one had been able to prevent it. Shortly afterward, a young woman followed him, showing the same symptoms, even though she had not appeared sick beforehand. Was the illness contagious? She didn't even reach her 19th year of life. That the residents had to take care of both funerals was Kiyan's salvation. He would never have had the strength to deal with dead people. Would there be more victims? Ones they were powerless to save? As the walls threatened to close in on Kiyan completely, they went outside, He sat down in the middle of the meadow, a place in the middle of nowhere. His body felt like rubber, unsteady on his legs. When Jana offered him her shoulder, and he rested his head against it. "What's happening here?" Kiyan whispered to himself, trying to sort the countless half-formed thoughts. His head was racing. An impenetrable fog spread through his mind until it shut down entirely. How can a person just die out of nowhere? Why does the boss show himself now of all times? The boss who... No one says it out loud, but it's obvious. He is my father. No doubt about it. Only when Slivon's knee brushed his leg as he sat down beside him did Kiyan tear himself away from his thoughts. He breathed in and out uncontrollably. He didn't want to give the overwhelming numbing feeling stalking his mind any chance to grow. "I'd like to know that too," Slivon agreed. "Different times are coming for us. I can feel it, guys." Aaron, who preferred to remain standing in front of them, watched in silence. Kiyan waited for a reaction from his leader, some words that might help him break free from the downward spiral. Nothing. Did he know more about the current mission? It wasn't impossible that he had received information earlier than the others and had processed it calmly while they remained clueless. This is sickening. Automatically, Kiyan grabbed the sparse tufts of grass around him, long past their best days. The plants bore no blame for his situation, yet he tore them mercilessly from the earth and threw them aside. "What are we even fighting for if we can't even protect the people here?" Kiyan asked the group. "What's the point?" "For Kilan." "Kilan?" His fingers twitched. Kiyan looked over at Slivon and swallowed. "What did you say?" "Well, your big brother. He's worth all of this. You have to save him. We save our brothers and bring them back to us. Our happy ending is waiting for us. That's why nothing is pointless, just because you saw your father." As the words finally reached his awareness, Kiyan ground his teeth. The pressure sent a pulling pain through his jaw. It didn't stop him. Like icy water over his head, the unexpected mention of his brother stole his breath for a moment. "Why did you never tell me that the boss is my... You should have told me." "So you could end up an emotional wreck afterward, which you've always been anyway? I wanted to prevent that. But I have a right to know." "It doesn't make any difference whether you know or not, so why all the fuss?" "Why do you get to decide what I'm allowed to know and what I'm not?" Says the guy who kept important information from his brother. A stab went through Kiyan's heart, making it feel heavier and heavier. He swallowed again, feeling resistance in his throat. His mind couldn't keep up with the processing. New stimuli kept crashing down on him. At the same time, he had to admit that Slivon was right. At least part of him couldn't deny it. "What the..." Slivon frowned. "Why are you looking at me like that?" "You were thinking out loud, Slivon," Jana explained. She placed a hand on Kiyan's knee and gave it a gentle pat. "If I may say so, you're not like Sidar at all." "Not?" Kiyan found his voice again. "You're not just saying that to cheer me up?" "No, I'm not. Your heart speaks differently than his. You notice it immediately. We don't compare you to him, and we don't expect anything grand from you. Like Slivon said, It doesn't matter who he is. We know who you are. That's more important. Who I am. Thank you, Wenjana. Warmth spread across Kian's cheeks. Her words wrapped around him gently, like a blanket of sunlight on a cold day. My head is a complete mess. The dead people, the boss. So much feels meaningless since today. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. Everything. You're allowed to feel all emotions. It's beautiful to feel, isn't it? Kian jerked his head up, staring at his leader with wide eyes. Hearing him speak froze him in place, a paralysis he couldn't break free from just yet. The monotone cadence of Aaron's voice made the hairs on Kian's arms rise. It was like a perfect painting marred by a single, unexpected detail that didn't belong. And we're here to catch you, Slivon added, leaning against Kian. Flanked on both sides by his teammates, the cold couldn't reach him. Aaron, I'm sorry. Sorry that every time, well, I know I'm exhausting. That I should pull myself together. I'm not a child anymore. You don't need to apologize for your emotions. You're allowed to feel what you need to feel. I thought I'd made that clear enough. Nothing is more pointless than feeling nothing. Having all these emotions is a gift. Unbelievable. How? Can he stay strong after everything that's happened? Why don't his feelings sweep him away? Still, I'd like to know why Sidar wants to act right now. Kian returned to the old topic. What made him do it? Maybe it's because of the page I gave him recently, Slivon muttered. Page? Oh, how do you know about the page? Because you just said it. Kian rolled his eyes. Come on, which page do you mean? All right, I'm actually not allowed to tell you this, but hiding something from you every day is draining. So, every time I find a page from Caleb's records, I hand it to Eziet, who then passes it on to the head. Caleb seemed to know a lot about the Slivons. Supposedly, he was our great-grandfather. The first human who ever dealt with Slivons. Crazy, right? And what was written on it? Kian pressed. You should have told us earlier. You usually blurt out everything, but not this. Sorry, I didn't want trouble for our team. I didn't even want to think about it. Well, to be honest, I've mostly forgotten the contents. Sorry. Kian sighed. The chance for more knowledge vanished as quickly as it had appeared. But under no circumstances can you tell anyone this. At least, I kept one page. Hand it over. Now. Slivon slipped off one of his shoes and pulled out the piece of paper. He unfolded the sheet, which looked heavily worn. This is the only one I kept because I find the text so strange. Slivon, man, that's disgusting. Why do you keep it there? Where else would I keep it? Number 29. Entry 25th of December 2018. We need the Slivons. Humanity needs them. At any cost. What does that mean? Kian couldn't make sense of the text. He turned the page over. Nothing on the back. No fine print or hidden message, as he'd hoped. Why would we need those disgusting things? If anything, it's the other way around. They need us. No idea. I don't get it either. Do you understand this, Aaron? Wenjana asked him directly. Does it mean anything to you? He shook his head. It's just as puzzling to me. I wonder what this man discovered that made him think this way about the Slivons. It must have been something extremely important. Something rustled behind them and moved closer. Reflexively, Kilan crumpled the paper in his hand and stuffed it into his jacket pocket. They all fell silent at once. His pulse spiked when he spotted Sidar. He... here alone? Exposing himself to the risk of encountering something dangerous? No one spoke. Aaron's face remained unreadable, so Kilan waited for what would happen next. "Here you are," Sidar said. He looked past Kilan and fixed his gaze on Wenjana. "Excuse me?" she asked. "You were looking for me?" "Follow me," the head ordered coolly. Before she could stand, Kilan grabbed her wrist and pulled her back down to the ground. He glared at Sidar. Was this crossing a line? At the same time, he felt her trembling, confirmation enough to keep going and not let her leave. The dangerous aura radiating from this man wasn't something Kilan alone sensed. "What are you planning to do with her?" Without blinking, Sidar looked at him as if he hadn't noticed him before. "Are you her watchdog? What I intend to do is none of your concern." "That sounds pretty suspicious. Is he going to hurt her?" "I have to stop this," Slivon babbled, earning a sharp jab from Kilan to stop him from thinking out loud before he revealed something worse. "Who do you think you are?" Kilan shot up and positioned himself in front of his comrades. This time, he wanted to be their shield. "Do you think you can do whatever you want just because you're the boss? Why are you showing yourself now, huh? You do whatever you please, and everyone else has to bend to you. Not with me. You hear me? Not with me." Kilan still tried to keep most of his composure, even though it was nearly impossible. Nothing should fall back on his team just because he couldn't control his mouth. But everything inside him screamed to act before it was too late. Gradually, his body began to tremble uncontrollably. It was only a matter of time before his voice would start shaking too. After that, no one would take him seriously anymore. But where did this sudden cold inside him come from? "I see," Sidar said, narrowing his eyes to slits. "You're the nuisance who's been squeaking at my door like a pathetic little worm." "Worm?" Kilan growled and stepped toward Sidar. He didn't get any farther. Slivon grabbed the hem of his jacket and pulled him back. "How can you talk to one of your sons like that?" It was out. He had said it. "Don't get carried away, young man. As yet has kept me informed. One thing was clear from the beginning. You are not my son." Sidar spat. His cold gaze swept over Kilan. "You were conceived by the Slivon during my absence. Nothing more. Wenjana, you're coming with me now. I don't have time for such ridiculous conversations." The words lodged in Kian's throat as if he'd swallowed dozens of needles at once. Even if he'd had the chance, his mouth failed him. The surging energy that had filled him moments before vanished into nothing. Something bent inside him. Something broke. "May I at least accompany her?" Aaron asked calmly. "I think that would make things easier for all of us." "Suit yourself." As he passed by, Aaron gave Kian's shoulder an encouraging squeeze before taking Wenjana's hand and leaving with her. They both stopped instantly when Sidar halted. At once, Sidar turned and walked back toward Kian. His raised hand shot into Kian's field of vision. Mentally, Kian braced for searing pain for his lack of respect. But contrary to his expectations, Sidar placed the hand on top of his head. "That was harsh of me," Sidar said in a tone full of pity. His features softened, as if a different man stood before Kian. "I'm sorry, my son. Don't hold it against me." The moment the man turned on his heel and walked away, Kian looked at Slivon in confusion. "What was that?" Kian asked. His head swarmed with question marks.